The project for today starts off with a piece of 1/4 inch steel flat bar, and this is what I'm going to make the base plate for the Weber to mount to, and also a spacer plate. It's going to have a trough cut in it to act as a balance tube. It'll make a little more sense as we go on here. But cutting all the bolt holes, or drilling the bolt holes, and cutting the bores. And on the base plate itself, I'm going to have some recesses so that I'll have a place to locate the pipes that are going to make the runners. So here you can see that recess a little better on the right hand one. And also how the pipe will fit into that recess. So once all that's done, I bolt it down to a fixture plate, cut the perimeter out, and it's the same process as cutting the bores. I go around it once initially with a roughing pass, and then follow it up with a finishing pass. So here you can see a little better the recesses for the pipes, and also that trough that's going to act as a balance tube. Just trying to keep the piping portion of the fab simplified. While I was at it, I made a few flanges for the other end of the manifold. It'll make more sense as you see it come together. So when you're making a intake manifold, you got to have intake runners of some sort. So I found some pipe. I forget what size it was, but it was almost the same dimension as the carburetor. So that worked out pretty good. But I want to connect some pipes with a male and female end. So here you can see I'm cutting about halfway through. And the wall thickness is thick enough that I'm going to be able to do that with no issue. Now another piece, we're cutting the inside of the female end of the connection. And once they're all cut, just want it to slip together. Nice smooth fit, a little bit of play, but that's okay, that's what I'm looking for. Before we can mock things up, this thing here's got to go. Not even sure what it does, but it doesn't do anything now. So here's the pieces of pipe. Now this center one will get cut, but as the engine expands, as it warms up, these connections will allow the manifold to expand as well. So the first step is to go ahead and tack weld the two 90-degree angle pipe angles onto the flange. And then for the connection to the heads, I'm using some ICT manifolds, some little stubby ones that I just happen to have. They're pretty low profile. And here's the flange I made for that, also with the recess. And you can barely see it, but I scored this flange at 45 degrees right there from the plane of the bolt holes, so that when I put this tube on, I can line the seam up with the score and should be able to get it at a pretty close to 45 degrees, which is what I want. Here you can see a rough placing of the carb. I've got the left side welded up, and a 45 degree pipe bend that's going to fill that gap. And here I've welded the male ends onto both sides of the carb end. So just taking it one step at a time, filling the gap as I go. Here you can see the passenger side is done. The driver's side is almost done. But that's kind of how I did it. Just one little piece, tack weld, fit it, and then move on. So here it is all tack welded together. And you see we got about maybe 3/16 to a 1/4 inch of play, which will help with expansion, but will also help me be able to locate that mounting hole to some sort of bracket. If I get that video of that bracket, I'll put a card here for you to check it out if you want. So now just finish weld and paint it. Then we can final assemble everything. There's nothing significant about the red other than that's just what I had. Those inner bolts were a little harder to get to than I had planned, but I got them on there. So to go between the base plate and the spacer, I used some of the right stuff, 90-minute gasket maker, whatever it's called. You got to put it on and, well, whatever, just follow the instructions. But hopefully it'll keep the leaks out. So here it is, pretty much done. I'm going to start it up so you can hear it, but before I do, I just want to mention I found out later one of my accelerator jets was clogged. So that's why it runs a little rough. But anyway, here's the payoff. No idea what kind of power it's going to make or what it's going to run in the car, but I'm pleased so far. Well, anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.